Coming to tonight's session on disambiguating product management versus product design, they are two sides of the same coin. Let me give an introduction to our esteemed and admired speaker of tonight, Uday Kumar Padmanabhan. For 24 years and counting, Uday has led design teams across the globe, and his expertise spans across design leadership and management, strategy, research, service design, product management, front-end engineering, UX, CX, design delivery, and operations. Be it stealth mode startups, very large enterprises, product platform firms, academia, or government agencies, Uday has worked across a broad spectrum and strongly believes in design being a true change maker that you don't get for nothing. Uday currently leads design delivery and design operations at DesignIt, heading global clients, craft human-centered experiences that not only unlocks business value, but also enhances the way we live, work, and play. You can connect with him on LinkedIn. I'm sure he'll share the link in some time. A very warm welcome to you, Uday. We are thrilled to have you here with us tonight. Handing the session over to you.
Hey, thanks, Shama, and thanks for everybody, whoever has joined. Yeah, unfortunately, I think I just kept my camera on for a while so that people at least know they can put a face to the name. I'm just turning it off to ensure that the bandwidth doesn't guzzle up or have this. So I'll begin with an interesting question to you, Shama.
Sure.
I heard that the best question actually wins access to a free digital course.
That's
but
right.
what about the best answer? Don't you think I should get a course as well?
Yes. Thank you, Uday, for joining us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So give me a moment. Let me share my screen. And yeah, hello everyone, wherever you joined from. Thanks for making the time on a Thursday night. I know the time is like quite late, but thanks for joining in. And I hope that you will find it as interesting as I'm interested to do this session. So on that note, let me share my screen. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
But the video isn't a possibility, Uday, at all.
I'm sorry?
Isn't the video a possibility?
Video of me speaking? No. I certainly noticed that your voice got metallic. I will do the presentation and I'll turn it on and I'll take questions.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me know if you can see my screen share, and then I'll get going without further ado.
We can see your screen there.
All right.
But it'll be great for the audience if they can see you as well, because it's going to be just the screen otherwise.
I get it, but it's weird for me to talk into a black screen. But since you're insisting, I'll let me turn it on.
Yes, we insist, please.
All right. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get going. Okay. I think the topic needs no introduction. I think you have read it up, you saw it, and then you took the trouble of signing in. So basically, this is what I'm going to talk about for the next 30-40 minutes, and let's get going. So even before all of that, I want to get the boring stuff out of the way. I think she gave a nice introduction. I think maybe some parts of what I'm going to speak for the next half a minute might be repetitive, but yeah, yes, I am a huge Yoda fan. I currently work as part of the leadership of a world-class problem-solving team. The world calls us as a strategic design firm, but at the heart of it, what we do is we basically solve problems. And I get to lead an amazing, award-winning, awesome team that delivers the goods every single time. I have been a practicing designer all my professional life. That's 24 years and counting. As part of my career sojourn, I have built and sold a few companies. I've been part of very successful acquisitions. So yeah, maybe I got lucky multiple times. One of the intriguing questions most of the audience might have is like, okay, here is a design guy. What does he know about product management and all of that? So I want to just get that clarified. I have straddled both product management world and the product design worlds for a considerable amount of time, spanning across startups, government agencies, amazing large scale companies, and a few of my own companies. So it was a necessity, not a luxury, but yeah, I'm happy that I learned a lot of things and I did what I did. So yeah, whatever I'm saying, yes, I take pride in the fact that I work on, with one of the top 10 strategic design agencies on the planet. We're not the only ones, but we are up there. But at the same time, whatever I'm going to talk for the next half hour, 45 minutes in this webinar should not be construed as this is coming from me because I'm part of my current world-class firm. This is a collection of reflections over the last 24 years. And yes, last but not the least, I am also still learning a lot of things. So on that note, getting that out of the way, I just want you to know what are we going to talk about. So I think you're done with the boring stuff. So I'll basically give you a quick walkthrough of what is the current scenario in this world called product. When you look at it from the two lenses of product management as a function and product design as a function, and product managers and people of product management office and people of the design office, right? And then the to be scenario. So in our world, basically in process re-engineering and reimagination world, these are well-known terms. As is, like it says, is the current scenario as of this minute. To be is basically what it should ideally be, or what a better position should be. And you would have heard a lot of terms about, future, North Star, the future of X. So basically, in our world, we call it as to be. What is as is today should technically, could be, or it has to be something tomorrow, and that's what it is all about. And then I'll tell you that now, after telling you about what the current scenario is and probably what needs to happen from my perspective, then I'll say, I'll basically take a perpendicular path, and I say all of this is great, but you might be kind of peaked about what am I going to learn. And if you recall the top key objectives, I spoke about talking about common areas of both these sides of the coin, and then all of the divergences that we have when we become product management professionals or designers, but all the common areas. And there is at the heart of it is there is a glue that's called team dynamics. Some of you might have heard, some of you have not heard, but a lot of material is available there. So I'll talk to you about team dynamics 101, and I'll also recast as to why that construct is very important. When you work as part of a team that's building a product as a designer or a product management, of course, the dynamics applies to every single career path that every single human today is working or would work in the future. And then I'll talk about where is the field, where is the domain headed. My focus predominantly would be technology based, because most of the product management people and product design people are concentrated in the technology and high tech space. And then I will give some parting thoughts on what does it mean for our craft. So yes, product management is equally a craft as how design is. Not many people want to endorse it or believe in it, but this is my hardcore belief that both are actually craft. And then I'll open house and take questions, and maybe one of you, the lucky you, will get a course, and I'm hoping that I'll also get a course. So on that note, let me move forward. But before, please do not hesitate to interject me at any point in time. Let's keep it free form. If you have a question, if you have something you want to ask, don't wait till the end. Please, go on, please unmute yourself and ask something, and I will definitely answer it and then get back to what I'm. So shall we proceed? Shama, can I move forward?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Okay, so the current scenario today, from the lens of a product management professional or somebody who's got a day job, who basically has a job that pays his or her paychecks, and basically they do product management for a function, right? There are a lot many books, a lot many understanding and all of that. I'm not even going to get into any of those theoretical or boring stuff. Today, the scenario is, this is the mindset of product management as a function and people. Product management as a function thinks we own everything for a product or a solution in question. And that everything actually means the vision of the product, the mission of the product, the strategy, the strategic thinking involved, the tactical moves that you need to make so that you bring that strategy to life. We own the design, and we own another 756 different things that all become part and parcel of that village that takes to basically raise this child called the product. And then there is this huge understanding that belief that not everybody can become product managers. You need niche skills, you need to come from a specific combination of academic creds and experience, and you need to work for high tech, and you need to have all these big logos and all of that. That's generally the base level understanding. When we are product management professionals, we also feel that we have a lot of power and privilege. Everybody has a lot of power and privilege subject to their roles, responsibilities in the world, in the career world. But there is this general sense of entitlement that we have a lot of power and privilege because I am the mini CEO of the product, and who doesn't want to be the CEO of anything, be it mini or mega, right? And the last but one bullet also is very critical. Product management as a function believes and operates on this notion that we guys know what the customer wants, what the consumer wants, what the market wants, what the feel is, what it is, and what not. Basically, they maybe they think they have the skills to actually predict the future. Some of them get it, most of them don't get it, but it is not reality. And what is the logical path? Some of them want to be entrepreneurs, some of them maybe want to try something else, but predominantly most, if not all, of the product management people as we speak at some point in time aspire to be a chief product officer. This is basically, I'm not making this up, this is actually grounded in data published by some of the top product management surveys. This one is picked from something that's as early as February 2021. Now that product management lens is this, how does it look like when you are a product designer within a product company, or you're involved as a designer for a product development function? When I say development, don't take it as from an engineering construct. I'm saying you're actually developing a new construct or a product or a solution. That's what I'm trying to get at. Product design lens, when we designers feel that everything has to be design led and that we have a seat at the table. There was tremendous fight in the last 30-40 years about design being just the lipstick on the pig. It's all about skin, it's all about aesthetics, but we have come a long way. And yes, we do have a seat at the table. A vast majority of the designers who actually beat their chest and say we got a seat at the table fail to realize that even the seats and the tables was actually designed by a designer. So that's the kind of dichotomy that the mindset brings in. We are at fault to use some very amazing exotic words like empathy and design thinking, right? Basically, you empathize with anything and everything, and you have design thinking as a construct. You can actually solve any problem. So yeah, you can solve most of the problems. Some problems are intractable. You just can't solve it. And there's this general feel that others in a designer's mind, this is general purpose understanding. This is the general feeling. It's not that all designers do this, but overall the sense is others simply don't get us. Others are product guys, engineering guys, finance guys, HR. You can think of any and all non-design functions. They become the others, right? And then there is always this mishmash, typically in a product company of any shape, size, scale or size. There is this one of the biggest things, points on which people lock horns is, the product management guys say that I'm an engineer come MBA and I bring in certain, level of finesse to the table because I went to the B school. And then the counter is most, if not all, of the designers who were lucky to go to a D school or were trained professionally in design, they bring in the D school. So it becomes like an alphabetical war, right? You went to B school, so what? I went to D school. And I'm not joking, this actually happens. And at the end of it, in most product organizations, the CPO office as a construct is well known. The CPO office definitely has power, privilege, and with great power comes great responsibility. These guys are, directly or indirectly associated with the very existence of their employers / companies. You build products, most of the companies are for profit. You have a P&L, you have existing customers, you need to generate revenue, you need to make profits. It's basically for business. However, in such scenarios, designers or design as a function is actually a subset of a product management functions, which is highly debated. And there is no right answer, wrong answer, but it becomes one of the largest epicenters of firefighting. And generally designers feel that though the people, though the world calls us as creative and this and that, we don't have enough power and privilege, as opposed to a product management guy. And this is reality today. While this fight is happening, here is this huge other world that comprises of different professionals and different people and different domains that actually kick in to bring a product or a solution to life, take it to market, and go through the entire technology adoption life cycle, right? it's early stage, it's kind of immature product, we call it beta, we test the market, and then it gets traction, it becomes a mainstream product, then it goes into an evolutionary stage where you have multiple versions. Think of an iPhone 1 to iPhone 12, right? It is still at a curve. At some point in time, that curve will die. That's a natural progression, and some physical physics and mathematical constructs apply to intangible things, or inanimate things actually. But this is the general understanding of thing. Okay, viable, business viability, tech feasibility, and delight, and design, and all of that stuff, right? That's what generally people think it is, and that is what theory also says. But in reality, if you get into the heart of any product company or any company that builds products with a certain similar setup, this is the reality. Now, why it is like that, why it is not like that, is worth multiple books, or probably a gazillion workshops and all of that. I'm sure some smarter people would be working on it. But the problem, the reality is, UX is construed as intersecting with business and technology, and it becomes tip of the iceberg. Even in this rendition, if you see, it is like the cherry, the icing on the cake, or the cherry on top of your cupcake, right? It's small, it is needed, it is essential, but it is not as important as business or technology. And that's the sense that we have today. So while all of this is happening, we know that all of us know we all have some semblance of understanding about evolution and how we evolved. We came from apes and we came from monkeys and all of that. Barring that aside, we know our forebears and early ancestors evolved. They actually started crafting tools from stone and bones, and they moved to an evolutionary thing, and they set the ball in motion, where today we are talking about probably flying cars and living an entire lifetime on Mars. Everything is designed from not from a designer perspective, but everything gets designed. We have come a long way for sure, but the people who actually bring those to life as product designers or product management folks in this context, right? Have they evolved to the extent that we should evolve? That's a point to ponder for all of us. And the bird that you see on the on the right side is actually a variant of a finch, which pretty much gets seen in the southern part of India. Yeah, it's seen in vast many places on the planet, but it also has some roots in the southern part of India. Over a period of time, even a bird, actually has evolved. So the question for us to ponder is: have we as product people, designers or management people, evolving at the pace that we are expected to evolve? That's that's a point for you to reflect and ponder, and not anything else. So all of this is fine. To recap, I spoke about what is the lens, what is the perspective of a product management function, and what is the perspective of a product design function. And then I also spoke about how they are actually not real and how they could be better. And I also walked you about why evolutionary growth is very important. Now let's get into actual personas. Now we spoke about functions, we spoke about teams and dynamics in companies. Now in the next 2-3 slides, I'll talk about an individual who's a product manager, or or one of these many designations, fancy designations that a product management company might have. If you talk to anybody who's been reasonably successful at pursuing a career in product management, these are the things that they're going to say. I'm quantitative, I apply rigor, I'm logical, I'm analytical, and basically I am what I am. And similarly, on the other side of the coin, if you talk to a product designer, practicing product designer, a product design professional, he or she is going to say, I am creative. Of course, yes, you're creative. That's why you get to do design. That's the general understanding, right? Hey, you know what? I'm cool. I solve problems. I impact big money. And that's a very generic statement. It's not about I make big money or the domain gives me big money. I inflict and impact changes at such scale that it's big money for everybody. And so the half a dozen cards that I've shown for each of them is not sacrosanct. There are like a gazillion other things, but you can basically distill all of the mindsets and belief systems into these core buckets. Now, if you really look at it, there's nothing wrong in a person looking at what he or she is basis what their craft is or what their profession is. but this itself is the starting point of friction. This is the starting point of friction. There's always a tug of war between contrasts: creative versus analytical, cool versus rigorous, solving problems versus solving something else, or logically thinking about it. This sets the path. And all the things that I'm talking about is well documented knowledge, body of work, highly experimented and documented. But unfortunately, in today's day and age, and the pace at which technology grows, and we are also evolving, everybody is running against the clock. Everybody needs an increment, everybody needs growth, everybody needs to be cool. And who doesn't want to be on the cover of Time magazine? People have become intensely aspirational, to the extent that that intenseness actually sometimes becomes borderline insanity. It's basically time to pause, reflect, smell the flowers, and think what you have to do. And that's where I think we are all headed as a race. But coming back coming back to the design guys and the management guys, they have their own whims and fancies and premonitions about what they are and what their core strengths are. Then that begets the question. I think some of you might have heard this song, very famous song. I'm in the love. You're basically in love with the shape of you, right? You basically like yourself so much that you think you are the best thing to happen to that context. You're the best thing to happen to design. You're the best thing to happen to product management. And then there's this tug of war. Designers think that product management cannot exist without design, and product management thinks that design is definitely an integral part of product management. It is not, but it is not everything. And there is a very famous quote made by a very famous industry behemoth. You can Google it. I will not quote the name. He went on record saying the very existential reason for user experience as a domain is bad product management. There are people who believe in it. There are people who have actually proven factually that is what it is. But I do not want to get into that. Having been having been a product management guy and product design guy, and having enjoyed a lot of stuff, I don't have that kind of opinion. I think both of them push and pull, and basically bring in a lot of stress factors to the other domain. That is my 2 cents on this. So yeah, I wanted to draw a very big thick red line, but yeah, I didn't want to get away from the design language. So basically, the product management people are generally bucketed or perceived as being very analytical. They went to B school. They're very good at number crunching. They're very reductive. Yeah, you have to prioritize. You need to groom a backlog. You need to prioritize. It's basically you're trying to move the wheels of a moving train. It's easier said than done. But a day in the life of a hardcore product manager with intense roles and responsibilities and goals and objectives are actually like that. It's a high pressure situation. I am not denying that at all. So they figure out certain ways and traits of what happens, right? They're very quantitative guys. Everything has to be reduced to a number, and to reduce to a number, you will have to be very rigorous. You'll have to be analytical. You'll have to evaluate everything, pros and cons. You may not have answers for everything, but you got to go with your gut. Like the famous saying, right? If you got to go with the gut, it better be mine and not yours. So more or less, these things and these behavioral traits and these skill sets, I wouldn't call them hardcore skills, but kind of a mix of hybrid skills, right? Some of them are soft skills, some of them are hard skills. This is what has made them what they are, and sum total, this is what has made the domain actually thrive and come to a situation or a position that it is today. Now, on the other side of the fence, if you look at design is construed as designing for emotion. Design is always additive and it's not reductive. But then there are designers who think that you keep removing things. The best of designers, you keep designing things to the extent where there's nothing else left to remove or add, and it still does what it's supposed to do. And then design is thought of it's very intuitive. You go from top down, and now there is all the speak about outside and inside out, left, right, north, east, south, west, and all of that. And then design is very generative. I think it is generative, but what is important here is to understand is everything is iterative. Whether you're managing a product or whether you're designing a product, it is iterative. An outcome of iterativeness, iterations are generative. And yes, designers are very qualitative. Half of the things, if not more of the things, are abstract terms. These are touchy-feely subjects. If I ask you to describe, pink, You may at max say, it's color, it's the favorite color, it is symbolic of feminism and all of that. But those are generally generally human created meanings that have become societal, basically sociological constructs. But that's not what it is, right? Sometimes qualitative is simple, real world. Ask one designer to review the work of another designer. So one of the things that may pop up is like, I don't know what is missing, but something is missing. Now, the internal joke amongst us designers is, if you cannot describe and qualify what that something is, you can consider as the existing something already being solved. So yeah, qualitativeness has its own merits, quantitativeness has its own merit, but what I'm trying to get at is, there is this huge disparity or segmentation between people from the get-go. It may be because of their formative years when they start as juniors, on their career ladder. We all end up modeling our managers or leaders and all of that, right? Half of them actually are transferred subconsciously, and that becomes the modus operandi, and that's where we are where we are. So basically, this is the huge split. Now you may ask about, hey, you're talking about disambiguating stuff and two sides of the same coin, and these are the two sides of the same coin. And today, unfortunately, the battle is about left versus right, and the focus is not so much about how can the left and right actually intersect or cross pollinate, and how can a very bottom up focused product management professional actually figure out how designers do a top down approach, and how do you meld that things. So you can actually this is the permutation combination. You can actually pair each word on the left one to many on both sides, and you can, it's an insane number, right? You have that many permutations and combinations that you could actually test it out. But unfortunately today, that the red brick wall is what stops us from doing things in a better way. So another moment in time where you need to pause and reflect, right? We all work to create impact, and we all feel proud that we need to be endorsed for making a change in whatever form or fashion, and we all feel and we all believe that we are impact makers. Now the question I want you guys to reflect on is the red ball that basically starts initiating the entire physics of it, and all the balls start moving in one direction, or orchestrated. The red ball, is it product management or is it design? That's the thing that you need to pause and reflect and figure out. Is it just unary? Is it just product management, or is it just design, or is it binary? Is it product management plus design, and probably beyond binary, right? Is it a mix and match of all that? So what I'm trying to get at is, a lot many things can be solved or understood or absorbed when you pause and reflect, right? And yeah, so that's where we are. So let me take a pause and see if there are any questions at all. A spot check.
There aren't any questions yet, but audience, please go ahead and ask questions in the Q&A window, or you have a choice to come online and talk to Uday directly. Please raise your hand and I can unmute you, and you can have a live discussion with Uday. Okay, we already have raised hands. So Uday will take it at a later point. You want to take it now?
Maybe since I offered, I could take probably Rohit is the one who raised his hand. Maybe I'll take the question, but okay, let me ask. Let me absorb their questions. I may answer it right now if it segues into what they're asking, or I'll park it, but I'll definitely answer it. Let's go ahead.
Okay. Rohit, you want to come online and ask a question?
Sure. So can I ask my question now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I was owning the product management function, and the product management department was really not very well established at that time. And whenever I asked the designer as to why certain things were designed that way, some of the times I would get an answer saying that this is my feeling that this will work. I mean, I'm going back to your statement or comment that designers are intuitive. So as the owner of the product management field, I mean, how do I take that?
Yeah, interesting question. I will expand on this definitely, Rohit. I made a mental note, because yeah, this is not a 1 or 2 minute answer. It's definitely more, but I'll tell you at the surface level, what I heard is you were owning a product management function, but the product management function was not established, right? And you did engage with some designer, and when you questioned the designer about why are certain things not the way they are, and basically the designer got back to you, say that I feel this is right. Okay, there are multiple dimensions to this, but fundamentally from a template, from a framework level, I'm not sure if you articulated and rationalized as to why you think the design is not looking or feeling or doing what it's supposed to do. Number one, because it filters and makes the conversation more ring fenced. Number two, I am assuming because you asked a very open-ended question, the designer actually gave you a much more open-ended, mishy-mashy, wishy-washy answer. This is what actually happens in most of the cases. Maybe the context was you are running against grooming backlogs and you have a date, go to market date, and you are juggling with 600 things. Technology is saying, I can't do this because that browser doesn't support and all of this. But long story short, for you, it is one of the items when you wear the product management hat. In as much as you would love to actually spend more time with designers and understand design, if not become a designer, I mean, your day job doesn't allow you that luxury, right? So you basically go on a checklist manifesto. Why is this? So the thing is, ambiguous questions are guaranteed to get much more ambiguous answers, which typically frustrates both the parties or one of the party, depending on where you are on the pyramid. So I will pause there, and you reflect on the answer, and then let's go when we do the question and answer open house. I'm more than happy to extend on that. So one small correction. I did not say that designers are feeling or intuitive. Intuitive and feeling are two different things, right? Generally, designers think that they can sense this whole abstract things like intuition and feeling and touchy-feely subjects because they think they are naturals. That's a mindset, not necessarily something that they exhibit in the room to prove a point, but they are wired that way. Yeah, so that's what it is. So if you're good with it, I'm going to proceed with the 2B scenario. Are you okay? You can raise your hand, or you can say yes, no.
Oh, sorry, I just unmuted myself. So I actually also asked the designer very specific questions, in the sense that why these colors are used, and why do you have certain things this way? I mean, have you done any A/B testing or anything like that? So I did ask some follow-up questions, but that is what the answer was.
I think I know I think I know where the issue is, but I will definitely deconstruct it for you and for the rest of the audience here. Definitely in the Q&A. Guaranteed. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the next chunk, interesting chunk. So we spoke about all of stuff, and I hope you people basically you are with me on the flow. We spoke about all of these things and what is the current scenario and what is the scenario tomorrow. And for me, tomorrow is starting now. It's not a construct of a calendar of tomorrow, right? But it's just a figure of speech. So we all know product management is a far more mature and robust domain than design. Design has been in existence even before product management. But in terms of acceptance, in terms of endorsement as niche areas and critical areas of operations in a firm, product management has been there, and design has always been probably this wobbly thing going here and there, and basically putting lipstick on the pig, if you will. And that is what the evolution was. But product management itself has come a long way now, with and most of the things, almost all of the things are becoming a service. And one of the things that I generally tell is product management as a function is still being called a product management. Doesn't matter if you are actually building a platform or a product that actually is, offers a service. So one of the key things, right? You always productize a service and you always servicize a product, right? So simple question, ponder over it. I'm sure most of you or all of you have a bank account, or you deal with banks. Okay. Are you is the bank offering you a service, or is the bank offering you a product? Think about it and you'll get the answer. So the thumb rule is you always productize a service and you always servicize a product. Keep this in mind. Now with everything becomes service, do product management as a function become service management? No, because service management as a term has already been taken, probably 40-50 years ago, because service was construed as the service business. Airline services, hospitality services, a lot of services and all that. Nothing wrong, but English is a funny language, right? Now product management is changing. It is not just about building products in a certain way and all of that. A lot of one-to-one, relationships from offering standpoints have become one-to-many, right? Today it is more about B2B to C and B2C, and there are a lot of things coming, right? G2C, governments to citizen, and all of that. The entire ecosystem is changing. The social fabric is changing. Wants and needs are changing, and technology also is growing at such a rapid clip that a lot of things that would have been deemed as sci-fi is actually true today. So which means the tools and the methods and the things that you applied for 3 decades, 4 decades are rusted. You don't need to throw everything out, but it is up for a service. It is up for a checkup, and it is up for a fine tune. That is where the scenario has to change tomorrow, whether we like it or not. The ones who adapt will stay. The ones who are refusing to adapt will be left behind, as natural theory of evolution, right? Then product management as a function was always considered as niche, and within that nicheness, they were like quants, they were analytical, they could pretty much write a sonata on Excel sheets, and they could number crunch, and they could pretty much divide a 16-digit number by another 33-digit number, and call out P&L or margins and all of that stuff, right? So the numbers speak. Beyond that, basically it is a power play, right? Going and asking other people about to rationalize their decisions and all of that, and basically getting iffy about the fact that they did not get the right answer. Now we are moving to a scenario where it is not about craft, it is not about domain knowledge, it is also about behavioral nudges. People have to make modifications, changes in their behavior with respect to how they go about what they apply for their daily jobs, and how they basically coerce in a nice way, influence people, and get the job done. Okay, and yeah, product management always it was construed that product management as a function has far more power and privilege, as opposed to the moving parts in a product management function, right? So, which is actually true, and that was the nature of the structure. So you can't blame individuals or corporations, but it was evolutionary again. But now things are changing. I know of companies where there is a CPO and there is a CDO or a CXO, so the chief design officer and chief experience officer. They're at peer levels. The chief product officer still owns the P&L and the future, and the all a dozen odd different things about the product and the customer and the CX and all of the terms and terminologies. But when it comes to the experience, when it comes to design as a function, the CDO or the CXO becomes the other part. They are at peer levels. I know of some companies where it is design led, where actually the CPO reports into the chief experience officer. Probably I wouldn't be surprised as we move forward that there will be a world where some of the companies will be run by CXOs, chief experience officers, and not CEOs. I would be surprised if already there are far and few companies which are actually doing. So what I'm trying to get at is power and privilege becomes very contextual. You apply power and you claim privilege on a need basis on a certain scenario. At the same time, be prepared to offer or share power and offer and share privilege to the other person who's supposed to do something so that your job gets easier, right? Then it was always, product management always thinks that I know it all. I know what the consumer wants. I know what the customer wants. I know, I'm the closest to the customer. I talk to the customer. I do analytics. I do A/B testing. I do all of this, and I basically have this massive number crunching factory that comes and tells me that I know it all. Well, unfortunately, not anymore, because most of the things are becoming design led, and most of the products and services and ecosystems are researched from the lens of a designer, from the lens of an anthropologist, from the lens of a social scientist. Can a product management person actually be an anthropologist or a social scientist or a psychologist? The answer is absolutely yes. But is that the ground reality? No. So what that brings to the focus area is, yes, you may know what the customer or consumer wants, but don't misconstrue the I know it for I know it all. Verify, validate, refine, iterate, and then give the customers what the customer or the consumer wants. We are moving to that. And functionally, organizational design-wise, product management office is typically multidisciplinary. At least that is what people say. But if you really look at it, it is, yes, I have a product management function, I have a product marketing function, I have a bunch of designers and I call it my design function. And probably I'll have a bunch of business analysts and a mix and match of some technologists who are part of the product management functions to quickly build this amazing, yet another amazing thing called MVP, right? Is it minimum viable product or most viable product? And that the argument continues. So you have to make peace with the fact that it is a team sport. It is not individual brilliance. And at the same time, it is multidisciplinary. No discipline is better than the other discipline. And that applies even to the designer also, you will see that. But that is where the world is going to. And the schools don't matter. Whether I went to A school, B school, C school, D school, basically business school and design school is what I'm saying. But let me put a disclaimer here. I am not saying going to schools or getting degrees is wrong. Pursuing education is wrong. Life is a constant, continual, in a continual state of being educated. Okay, we are all what we are today, and society is what it is today because of this, whole notion construct of institutions. Colleges and institutions are super important because they are treasure troves and facilitators of knowledge transfer and growth and learning. I have nothing against the schools, and I do not misconstrue my statement as schools don't matter, as in I don't need to do. No, schools matter, academics matter, all of these things matter relative to somebody's propensity to learn, affordability, and all of that. What I'm saying is, once you pass out and once you get into the field, it doesn't matter because, like I said, it is team sport, it is multidisciplinary. You may be B school, I may be A school, somebody may be D school. We all basically float together, or we sing together. That is the that is the messaging that I want to do. So the most important thing is we come in different shapes and sizes, we come from different backgrounds and different things, right? That is what makes us as unique as our own fingerprints, right? So much so that we don't share it with anyone else or any of the other 7 billion people that are living on the planet today. But what matters is always have this sense of curiosity. I do not want to sound like a philosopher or a art teacher, but all I'm saying is curiosity doesn't mean overly being curious about every little thing. Curiosity means questioning yourself about how does this work this way? Why does it this? Basically the why, the what, the how, and the when, and the wherefore. Apply it towards yourself, and I can guarantee your learning will actually become manifold. Now that we have got that out of the way, the scenario for we designers also is changing. Okay, we always felt that we are the privileged ones, and maybe we had it in our genes, or maybe we were artistic, maybe we had a lot of things happening to us during our formative years, and then we became so creative that we are amazing designers, and then basically we are this exotic bunch of people. No, everybody is a designer. This has been a fact for at least a few hundred years. It's just that it was not endorsed. Design should not be looked at a construct of this is the guy who actually takes concepts and basically puts a face to it, at least in the technology space, in the digital space, or this is a guy who actually takes material and crafts them into physical products. No, my take is, if any one of you is in the business of solving a business problem or a societal problem, or for that matter a basic problem in some form or fashion, in any stage of your life, predominantly your career life, professional life, you are a designer. And that needs to be orchestrated across the board from an organizational standpoint, from an organizational culture standpoint. And we designers have to make peace with the fact that everyone is a designer, right? And that brings the next question. Stop cribbing about the fact that the world doesn't understand us, and we are different. Yes, difference is what makes things delightful. If everything is the same, we will only have one color in the world, only one brand of coffee to drink, probably only one style of a shelter to live, only one form of a vehicle to drive. Just imagine how fantastically boring that kind of a life would be, right? So and power and privilege is contextual. So point number 3 and point number 6 are common with the product management guys. Power and privilege is something that needs to be shared, shared and used for the greater good, and not about putting a flag and saying this is mine and this is not yours. Same thing, academics definitely matter, but it's just because you come out of a certain school doesn't mean that you have the lifelong entitlement to actually claim finesse or betterment over different functions and different people. Okay, and the same thing applies. Since everybody is a designer, being creative is not an entitlement. You actually earn the label where people actually say that that guy is creative. Creative doesn't mean color, paint, art, and all of that. Creative is a different way of looking at certain things and trying to solve some things, or at least taking it to a situation where it is not as bad as what it was before. So I think we are running short of time, so I'll rush through. Please bear with me. So all of this is great. What needs to be done as product designers and product management guys and all of that, right? Say hello to Bruce Tuckman. He's one of the most underrated. I wouldn't say underrated, but he's, he could have been more famous than what he is today or what he's known for. He's a pioneer in the field of psychology broadly, and he's a pioneer. He's he's well known for his theories and constructs of team dynamics. He studied human behavior, organizational behavior, how do teams work and what works and all that. He basically came up with a linear model. There are multiple different models about team dynamics, okay, but I like this for obvious reasons. And I believe that this is the most simplest team dynamic model. Not that I have anything against other models. Please look up. You can just Google and you will find team dynamics. So basically, his construct says any team to work, collectively, and look at the unified vision and mission and deliver the goods. There are 4 stages. The first stage is forming. The second stage is storming. The third is norming, and then the fourth is performing. What it means in simple terms is a team has to be formed, and then formation is not a binary. Somebody doesn't turn on a flip switch in our brains where it says, okay, now I have joined company X as designated person Y, and I know everything, and I become the guy that I'm probably replaced or I'm supposed to do, right? It's a very organic process. You need to meld in, you need to blend. Basically, formation is where, think of it like building relationships and interrelationships on a professional front. That's what forming is all about. Then once you get that out of the gate, then it becomes, you move to something called storming. There's nothing wrong in this. There's no negative connotation. Now that you've formed a team, now that is a nice comfort zone, people can open up and people can actually get into healthy debates, discussions, and all of that. And that's the storming stage. Now, once you got the storming stage, you actually get to understand the uniqueness, the quirkiness of every person in your team, and where to step the, where to push and where not to push. This is all the more applicable in a mix of product management and product design people. Not that it doesn't apply to any other profession, it does, but from our lens, our context, because we just spent some time together, and then we broke the ice and we know one another, then we got in a comfortable position where we are comfortable to voice our opinion. Whether good, bad, ugly is not the point. We basically are collaborative and basically debating and rationalizing things. Once you get that out of the way, the team actually moves to the next thing where it's norm. That is where actually the juice is. Everybody knows everybody has a basic feel for what that other person brings to the table, strengths, weaknesses, dependability, all of that stuff. Only when you get all these 3 things out of the gate can you actually perform on a daily basis. For example, you as a product manager, if you go and ask the designer as to why these colors are looking this way, if you have gone through natural progression of forming, storming, norming, and performing the way it's supposed to happen, I don't think your question would have incited the designer to give an answer which again you weren't happy with, right? So what does it all mean? I mean, there are like hundreds of thousands of papers published, documents written, and there is a famous book that Bruce Tuckman has written. For those of you who are interested, please pick it up and read it. You will know more. But at stage 1, forming, it is all about relationships. At stage 2, like I said, reactions are likely to be most evident because people understand one another, and then people also want to change, but at the same time they want to ensure that it doesn't trigger a domino effect where the strongest person or the louder, the senior most person in the room actually gets the say. People will react, people will respond, and then once this keeps happening back and forth, there is that friction which eventually dies down, and then the team becomes very cohesive. You start becoming tolerant of certain quirks. Like I said, you start becoming conducive to the fact that okay, my colleague is very good in these 4 things, but he or she is not good in the other 3 things which I'm good. So that's where you become a cohesive sum of parts kind of a construct. Once you get through all these 3 stages, now as part of the group, I mean, Bruce uses the word group because probably that was the language that was used in the mid 60s or early 70s. But basically he says people play roles, people adapt to everybody as a human being in the construct, not as a role, and then it becomes a supercharged team that delivers every single time. So what does this mean to, product management and product design? I fundamentally believe that, these two functions, leaders of these two functions, if they step aside and look at it, you can easily troubleshoot the push and pull and the sways that happen typically in a product manager versus a product designer kind of conflict. Okay, so all that is great. Then I had promised that I will also talk, for a few minutes about where the future is headed and all that. Yes, where is the future? There is the future, and there is here or there. You don't know, right? It's an oxymoron, but basically the future is here. Some people say future is here. Some people say future is there. But yeah, all of that is great, but somebody has to create it, right? It's one thing to sit and say it's there, but somebody has to create it and bring it to life. So there is a very interesting 30+ minute odd video that you can see at the bottom right hand corner of my presentation. My intent was not to show it here, but I have put it there. Shama will be sharing that link. I suggest that probably on one of your weekends, just spend that 30 minutes, and I can guarantee you that you will not be disappointed. See that.
Yes, I'll
Now all of
definitely
this
share
is,
the link.
yes, thanks, Shama. So that brings the question of, okay, that's very broad-based 35,000 feet level, but how does this whole product making stuff? I call this product making because product management and design and all of the other guys actually get into it. And what do? They build and they create, and they basically make products for profit, products for societal change and all of that. So here are the three things that I think is definitely going to happen. The future of product making is definitely circular. When I say circular, it has two connotations. Everything now has been looked upon from the lens of sustainability, making the world a better place, leaving this planet in in a situation where we want our further generations to enjoy. You know the drill. So it is circular. So there's a huge thing called circular design. Yeah, you might have heard news that companies like General Motors, right, want to be carbon neutral by 2020, 2030. Not 2020, sorry, 2030, 2040. That's where the world is headed. The future of product making is very speculative. Gone are the days where you basically say, I built a platform and it has a 5-year adoption cycle. We take it from early stage, we take it to critical mass, and then we retire it, and then comes the next thing. Speculative, don't get carried away by the word. Speculative means you speculate about short term, mid term, long term, and typically there is a domain called speculative design. In speculative design, we basically look at time zones, range slices of 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, or 3 to 6 years, and 6 years and beyond, or 10 years and beyond. Think of this space as uh, medbots, where you're not going to swallow a pill or a tablet, but you're basically going to swallow a very tiny micro nano robo that gets into your system and basically makes you a better person at the drop of a hat. Think of flying cars. Think of gadgets and contraptions that actually make you fly. Things like that. Very futuristic, but yeah, time cycles are getting compressed. It will happen, and the future is exhilarating. It is amazing. It is adventurous, but at the same time, it is there is a sense of innate fear in all of us about what will work and what will not work. Hey, but that's what makes you pay that extra dollars or pay or money, pull your wallet, pay the money, and enjoy a ride, right? Probably go and do something adventurous, right? It is what keeps us what we are as humans. And then now that the next big thing as for the human race is all about making societal impact, right? And maybe some of you are aware of it, or most of you are not aware of it, but I'm assuming you know about United Nations, and United Nations has these 17 sustainable development goals. Most of the things are that are being built today as we speak are looked upon from one or many of these lenses. More or less it will become a mandate. So we have great power and privileges, and I think we should take that and use it for societal impact to make products and services and ecosystems that make the human race a better one than what we are currently residing in. Should be at least an aspirational goal, if not a must do, can do kind of mandate for all of us. And then a lot of things are happening. I will not spend time on it. Maybe I'll share, and you can, I think this recording will be made available and you can make notes. Some of the top things, this is from a massive 400+ page research that the European Innovation Society actually came up with sometime, end of last year or early Jan. I don't remember. I suggest if you have interest, read it. It's like a sci-fi book, but it's all real. Here are domains where a lot of things will change. A lot of products and platforms, as we know, will be built in these specific domains, and a lot of things have to change. We have to modulate our roles as product managers and designers. And design, as we know, I keep saying design as we designers know, may not even exist in the next 2-3 years, right? things will change. We are moving to a world where no UI is actually the best UI. It is no more clicks and there's no more clicks, clicks and taps. It is basically, voice. A lot of things are changing. So yeah, and some proof, right? You have self-printing 4D proteins, which you can, they actually form shapeshift. You have you have indoor farming, vertical farming, which it's just not farming, right? There are huge tech systems, smart sensors, a lot of things happening. And yeah, then you have a lot of things are happening in the health tech, medtech space. Now you may say, what does that mean to me? I work for a financial company or I work for a service company. No, you need to keep yourself grounded with what is happening outside also, because anything and everything that has to be thought upon or designed or invented has already been invented. We basically are reformatting things and we basically do it in a better way. And that this is my 2 cents. Don't hit at me because I'm making a very glorious God statement, right? And yeah, what next? The now is very organized and structured. The shift actually is very loopy, and there is an edge that we need to cross over and all of that. But I think sooner or later we'll get to the X. Now what that X means or what that X is, whether habitating on Mars or pulling electricity out of thin air, which is actually happening as we speak from atmosphere, but at scale, a lot of things happening. You need to stay curious, you need to stay grounded, but you need to have constantly, you need to look at domains outside of yours also to have a better, POV on what things are. So yeah, remember what got you here, won't get you wherever the there is. Remember my slide that says there, where is the there? The future is there. And it's a very famous book. There is a link. I will share that back also. If you're interested, read it. It's a very interesting book about human behavior and career progression and all of that. Designers and product management people or anybody who's having a career and which can progress, this is a fantastic book. So on that note, I thank you. I think I outran by probably 3 minutes, but I'm still discounting the fact that we spent the first 8 or 9 minutes with the introductions and all of that. So I'm still good. I'll take questions. You can make note of my LinkedIn. I'm kind of antisocial. I don't even have a Facebook account. You cannot find me on any of the things. But yeah, LinkedIn is something that I check very frequently, at least once a day. For those of you who are interested to stay, get in touch and stay connected on the professional network, feel free. And that is the channel that I use pretty much where people reach out to me and ask for help of any sorts, right? Questions or issues or thoughts. And then after that, I basically shift to different touch points and channels, maybe email or maybe phone. But my primary doorway to getting in touch with me is my LinkedIn account. So on that note, again, thanks Shama, thanks everyone for
Thank you,
patiently
Uday, for
listening in.
delivering a brilliant session. Really great and thought-provoking insights. And that's why I want to say we have a lot of questions in line for you, and I hope you have the time to take them. So without wasting any more time, we'll just go to the question Q&A session directly. Audience, if you have any questions, please post a question in the Q&A window. Or you can come online and chat with Uday directly. So taking the first question from Vandana, how to convince a product manager that the design is based on scientific investigation? It's in the Q&A window if you want to check.
Okay, great question. So my take is this: the minute you go from the lens of the lens of this, that I have to convince can be misconstrued as many things. Please bear with me. I think the reframing is probably you want to reframe your your requirement or your question as, how do I build a plausible case which is rational enough, which is believable enough, which is digestible enough, so that this other person called my product manager actually looks at the merits and demerits of what I'm proposing, and invariably the merits outright eat the demerits, so that he or she is more than happy to basically check the box and help me go do that scientific research or scientific investigation. So I don't know what the science was there, but I'm just mirroring what you said. So you have to reframe. I'm telling you, half of the problems between product management as a domain and product designers as a domain is basically communication, right? It is not about what you say. Most of the times it is about how you say. And given the fact that product managers juggle with 16 different things, they're very analytical, and they come from a world where that trust and verify, prove it to me, and then I'll build a compelling case. So communication is, we can't just walk up and say that, company X or company Y did, a 6-week research and they found out 17 different insights, and in 3 years they become $1 billion company. What you're saying is absolutely right. But you have to use this information to build a case. We are all in the pitch business every day. We are pitching for what we want, what we need, and all of that. But I think my answer to you would be reframe your questions, test it out, and I'm pretty sure sooner or later you will become a master in asking the right questions, and probably so persuasive that everything that you ask for from a job context, your manager, product manager actually approves it.
Great. I hope that answers your question, Mandana. We'll take this next question from LinkedIn, from Rohit Devnath. How can we get into better product management practices into leadership roles? If the startup absorbs mostly freshers for their high energy, but young blood do not follow process, how to deal with such situation?
Startup is a nice place for any young blood. My take is, my personal POV is, startup is absolutely the, go for it kind of a place for any young blood, because I evolved that way and I have no qualms or complaints about it. I wouldn't have it any other way. But yeah, I also heard words like process and growth. Get into it, soak yourself for the first 2-3 years, model your behaviors on what works and what doesn't work, and then do a spot check and figure out, have I learned enough? Have I learned enough, or am I doing the right thing? But always, the trust but verify thing that I quoted to Vandana's question also applies to us also. Don't take anything at face value, including my webinar, right? Hear things out, mull over it, figure it out. But in a startup, if you really think that you can, get into as young blood and there is no process, having no process in itself is a process, by the way. The nature of the startup is like, too many constraints, too many things, and startups are the ones that become behemoths today. But I'm not getting to that side of things. It is a natural progression. My simple answer would be to be a natural progression. How soon you can grow and how soon you can climb that ladder is a function of how smart you are, not cognitively, but how smart you are in learning things, absorbing things, applying things, and actually also demonstrating your ability to your decision makers, irrespective of whether you're a fresh guy with 0 years of experience or you're a 2.5-year experienced guy with amazing skills. It is again about how you turn your aspirations into something tangible, actionable, measurable, and demonstrate that. And I can guarantee you, if your current startup or whatever that company is not going to acknowledge that, I can guarantee you there are 100 other companies which will grab you with both hands and legs. But to get there, it's not just about asking a question or being curious just intermittently. You got to invest in yourself, because some of these domains are very organic in nature, right? I literally keep abusing this famous statement of mine. I basically say, just because you read a book about neurosurgery doesn't mean tomorrow you become a neurosurgeon. So I hope I answered your question. I think what I'm asking you is, look at the context, invest in yourself, learn things, make more mistakes. You become the startup as well. Think of yourself as a startup, and fail fast, learn things, and it has an organic process. And if you're really, really smart about it, I don't see any reason why growth path should be a problem for you. So I don't know if I answered the question or not. Let me pause and check with him.
Please share your comments in the chat section, audience. And the next question from Sharan: would conducting cross-department workshops help? If employees from different departments get a small peek into the design workflow through short workshops and vice versa, would we all understand where we are coming from and decision making improves?
Yes, like I said, the broad answer is yes. If you recall, I had also spoke that building products is becoming a multidisciplinary team sport. Workshops and brainstorming sessions and whiteboarding sessions and all of that are methods and tools, as the case may be, within our toolkit. Okay, it's not something that we designers own, but we predominantly use that day in and day out. Yes, the general answer is any collaborative session, any session or any format where it brings in disparate people from different domains into the room and creates a safe environment, a comfortable environment for people to open up and ask any kind of questions without any probably skepticism, if you will. Would I make a fool of myself if I ask? It's very cultural. But yeah, assuming that your organization or your place has that kind of open culture, I think you should go for it. Not necessarily in formal things like workshops and things. You can have immediate stand-ups. You can basically have, walk. There are many different techniques. But yeah, the answer is collaboration helps. Exchange of notes, exchange of perspectives, all of this helps. Also, one of the after effects and unacknowledged after effects of such a culture is people start acknowledging the actual essence and power of what each division brings to the table. So yeah, it's a very free form way of doing it, but yes, it will help. But it takes a lot of it takes a lot of event management and orchestration to get this done. Yeah.
Sure.
Any
The
more
next
questions?
question is, sorry?
Any more questions?
We have a lot of them, but you have to tell me your time limit. How much can I push you?
No. You can. Yeah, I can go ahead. So
okay, we'll take another like 2 questions and then we can wrap up.
No. I said I can answer all the questions. I have no problem.
Great. Yeah. So the next question is from Shrestha. Are we making decision more and more database and obvious in order to get buy-in from project managers? Are we losing newer and bolder design visions due to this?
Can you repeat that? I think I didn't follow.
Okay, you can read the same thing in Q&A window as well. I'll read it again. Are we making design more and more database and obvious in order to get buy-in from project managers? Are we losing newer and bolder design visions due to this?
Okay, I know. I really know this person. I know this person. So a disclaimer. I don't want to give a biased answer. I think she pretty much knows the answer for this question, but I think she still didn't ask the question. So I'm going to answer this anyways. Are we making design more and more database? Design was always fundamentally database. It was just that, frankly, everything can be construed and looked upon it from a lens of data, right? If you look at it from that lens, design is not being made more and more database. Design is being made more and more result oriented based. Now, the way you derive results, the way you call out demonstrate results is all about data, right? Data is data. It is raw. You need to sift through it, analyze it, synthesize it, convert data into information, and then glean insights from information, and then from information you actually change it into insights, and the drill, right? There is this entire knowledge evolution cycle, right? So that is what it is. And yeah, I think nobody says it has to be data. Nobody says I will only take the database way, or businesses are forcing us to do. It is a designer problem. It is a design domain problem. We generally think that we do the shiny new object. We conduct some research, we do some analysis and synthesis, and we come up with insights, and we translate those into digital products, and it happens. No, a lot many other things happens. For example, market timing, changes in demography, changes in habits of your target market. These are things beyond your control, and most of these things are things that you cannot even find out when you do all your in-depth research also. So don't look at it as data being forced and business asking data. Business is very simple. Business 101 is very simple. I invest X dollars to manufacture and create or offer something, sell it at Y, and make a profit and repeat. And that is what business is. Business is all about numbers. So I hope I answered your question, Shrestha.
Next one is from Tapshi. In a day-to-day life of product manager, what is the percentage of time we need to give towards UX or UI? Okay. This is specific to internal product management.
Yes. Yeah. If you're a product manager, there is no hard and fast rule that here is the slice of time that you need to give to UX, UI, simply because you will not be cognizant to the daily tasks and activities of your designers team. And if you have more than one designer, basically make it exponential. The lens of what percentage of time do I need to give towards UI, UX is actually incorrect. You may want to relook at it at saying, how do I prioritize my time between functions, engineering function, marketing function, sales function, leadership function, and you constantly prioritize. And depending on the life cycle of where you are in the product build cycles, design generally begins 1 or 2 sprints even before engineering, and design continues with governance. At least that's the model that we operate on. I think my answer would be, the answer is it depends, but nothing like ensuring that you actually spend a time slot day in and day out. Right now, that percentage, I won't call it a percentage, because a workday is basically 8 or 9 hours or 10 at max. So I do not know. I don't have enough information about the product manager, whether it is you or you're just asking a question. Do not do a percentile. And the joke is intended, the pun is intended. If you really look at it, your lingo is all about percentage. Remember, I told product manager thinks about everything has to be quantified, and then designer thinks that everything cannot be quantified. And this question actually is a reflection of that mindset, right? You cannot percentage stuff. It is intent versus action, right? How important is your touch time with your designers, or UI or UX as a function should depend. In my past lives, being a product management guy, there have been quarters to quarters where I have been 110% design guy dealing with design people. It was very hard for me to be a non-designer, being a designer myself, and still run a bunch of designers. But yeah, those are skills that you develop. But please do not metricize what amount of time I need to give towards any function for that matter. So I hope I answered it to the best of what I knew. What I would like is people could be, people who ask question. It would be nice of you if you could basically, chat, type back saying you agree or disagree or whatever. So that way we
Yes,
we
absolutely, great idea. We'll also know that way Uday will know if he has encountered the right question and then answer it accordingly. So
who's next?
Right, the next is Richa Paul. As a design student enthusiast, how should my approach be to inculcate product management principles into my work and research for efficient and collateral results?
There are 3 questions in this, Richa. Again, I know the person, so okay. You won't be a student. Maybe from the academic thing, you may be a student for a certain part of your life, and then you'll move on and you'll become an enthusiast in most of the stuff. How should I approach to inculcate my product management? So the approach, precedes inculcating, right? So that's why I said it's a loaded question. How do you approach? It depends. I mean, I don't know if you're a visual person, auditory person, kinesthetic person. Bear with me. If you're a visual person, probably you could read. If you're an auditory person, you could listen to a lot of podcasts and audiobooks and all that. If you're a kinesthetic person, maybe you can build physical products. That is also design. All I'm saying is you need to have that curiosity and intense focus to learn things. And in today's day and age, trust me, back in the day when I started, even to get a printed book used to take us like 6 weeks. Printed book after paying 10 times the money that we pay today. But yeah, I think today access to information, so much so there is information asymmetry. Most of the information that you want is available for free. Figure out where you want, what is the intersection of your work, because you're talking about research for efficient and collateral results. So I don't know what collateral means, frankly, but I think if you want to learn product management, you don't learn the principles first. Principles are available. There are hardly 10 or 12 usability heuristics. What you may want to learn is what is product management, what is the domain, how does it intersect with whatever I aspire to be, and then you distill your own principles, and and then you apply that and you will see results. I think I will only talk about the results. I wouldn't really worry about collateral or lack of it, but yeah, your approach should be basically curiosity and propensity to invest your time and energy and effort to actually spend quality time and learn things. Like I say, being curious is great. It's half the battle won. Reading 1 or 2 articles and then figuring out it becomes the confirmatory bias in all of us, right? I read 2 articles, I know what it is. No, if you have to go deep, you'll have to spend deeper time. So let's move on to the next question,
Sure.
Shama.
Yep. Next is from Noori.
Okay.
How might one deal with the team being slow in formulating the right requirements to help engineers and the bulk loading requirements and requiring multiple cycles of prioritization?
Okay.
That's the last
okay.
question in the Q&A window.
Yeah, that's fine. No, but it's not last. I still owe Rohit a broader answer.
No, I meant in the sequence. If you want to read, please, it's the last question.
Right? I read it. So I think, I'm assuming Noori is a product management, professional or an aspirant or whatever. Definitely not a designer. Is that assumption right? Was this a question from LinkedIn or something, or I'm assuming it's from Zoom, right?
So Noori says yes.
Okay, great. Okay, how do you deal with the team being slow in formulating the right requirements? Do you have a metric? Do you have a baseline of what determines slow and what is not slow? That's the first thing. Because slow means many things, right? slow to a 4-year-old toddler definitely is different from slow to probably a 60 or 70-year-old senior citizen. So yeah, the point is, when you say slow in formulating the right requirements, which team is this? Is this the product management team? If it is your product management team, then I think maybe they're biting more than what they can chew. Maybe you have to probably deconstruct the requirements bucket itself into specs itself into digestible parts. You basically segment it, slice it, dice it, and then add it so that it will help you in your sprints also. That is one thing that you can. That is one thing that will help. Other no unknown things, but probable culprits could be your team that is supposed to come up with requirements may not have the depth and breadth of knowledge or information or understanding about what these requirements are, because I also saw you calling out specs in brackets. Requirements and specs are used interoperably, nothing right, nothing wrong, but my 2 cents on that is requirements are more broad based, specs are building blocks of requirements, right? So fundamentally you need to figure out, this may shock you. First thing is you need to reflect and figure out if the team that is being expected to come with the right requirement and specs so that engineers can pick it and code it, are they the right people? Not in personality or whatever, do they have the right skill sets? Otherwise, if you are their manager, I'm sorry to say, it is your headache and it is your problem. You need to roll up your sleeve and actually help them understand what it is, and in parallel also ensure that the requirements and specs are shipped as agreed upon and as promised upon to the larger fora. Okay, and then your next part was, and then bulk loading requirements and requiring multiple cycles of prioritization. I think this is pretty much a this particular part is pretty much a more robust way of working. I don't know what you mean by bulk loading requirements. I don't know if you're talking about 20 backlogs or 40 epics. Bulk is again is I can't perceive the bulkiness of bulk, but I'm assuming you're asking about too many requirements. I think, and then notice basically I'm assuming you use one of these tools, maybe Jira, maybe product planner, or maybe you can't do this on a spreadsheet. Not many people are comfortable with spreadsheets. But yeah, I mean there are systems and there are platforms that sit at the heart of your product product development, product building ecosystem, your infrastructure, and then multiple cycles of prioritization, again more or less like in like all the robust product planning platforms, they actually bring you all these features. Now if you're not privy to such a product or a platform within your organization, I empathize with you, but maybe my suggestion is go and read up a lot of stuff that these platform companies have. You will get very broad based as well as narrow focused problem resolution solution kind of blog posts and documents. So that way you'll get some fair idea that you can actually start experimenting with your own team that is formulating requirements and slowly but incrementally make progress. So I hope that answered your question in some form or fashion.
Post comments in the chat window if you want to check it out. Moving on to the next question.
Yeah, Jira cards, but yeah, Jira is Jira. Maybe you're, like I said, maybe Nuri, maybe you guys are creating way too many requirements and then you end up shuffling that back. You need to go a little slow. Yeah, 150 is managed.
Sorry.
No, I was telling her 150 is manageable. I don't see 150 as a huge number. So
okay,
yeah.
Thank you for that great question, Nuri. So before we take Rohit Nagpal's question, I'll take this one question from Puneet. Being from a medical background, I regularly get queries based on customer safety, even though products are similar to which already exist. How can we as product managers deal with such situation where adhering market standards also connect guarantee product success?
Okay, when you say medical background, Puneet, I'm assuming you're working for a company that deals with the devices and all of that, right? Or I don't know, because again, it's a very generic thing. But okay, this I'm assuming these are products or services or something that mean life and limb. You get regular queries based on customer safety, even though products are similar. Yeah, products are similar. My analogy to you is a car is a car is a car. It has 4 wheels, it has an engine, it has a fuel tank. But yeah, there are cars that are as inexpensive as probably a few $1,000 to, maybe, there are cars that are $1 million cars, right? The point I'm trying to get at is customers will have their own queries specific to their wants and needs of a product or service in question. In your case, it applies, right? If somebody wants to know about, customer safety for a product, though they're similar, the question is mull over it. If the products are similar, why are you having two products or n products of the same kind? Just make one of the same kind and make more money, and it has a lot of efficiencies, right? Your supply chain, your logistics, your marketing budget, everything gets, if the product is doing the same thing, why even have a me too of that? I am assuming it is not as easy in the real world. There are compelling business reasons and targets and all of that. Simple, if I were to be you, I will simply ensure that I will keep a pattern check. Maybe if this happens a couple of dozen times or more, depending on the volume of the volume of customer queries, I would simply take the safety regulation information that are available for a product of a similar thing that already exists. I will take that, I will recast that back and basically create a derivative and keep it, create one. It won't take you more. I can guarantee you it will not take you more than a few days or some amount of investment from your time in terms of people. Create a derivative of that and ship that back to all of these customers who actually are asking you queries based on certain products, and also socialize that with your future customers who may also consume that product and may have the same query. So that way it's like a stitch in time that saves 9. You basically have created an information piece that can be disseminated across the board. And I see a lot of frustration in your question, so that you can tone down on your frustrations and focus your quality time on other things as a product professional. I think yeah, the solution is you don't need to boil the ocean, just replicate and share.
Great. So that is about it from the Q&A section. So we have Rohit Nagpal waiting for us. So Rohit, please come forward and ask your question.
I think I think he has a couple of things. If I have to hire a designer, what are the 2 most important skills that I should look for, and any suggestions on how to look for those skills? Absolutely. This is like a homework, Rohit. You can definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn and definitely keep the conversation on. The 2 most important things that I look for any designer are attitude and aptitude, and that's that. Because you cannot distill. If you were to just segment and select a designer based on only 2 skills, unfortunately it doesn't exist, at least in my mind. So I'm giving a generic answer saying hire the designer based on the attitude and the aptitude that they bring to the table. And yeah, I can expand, and I can basically write a long form blog post about this, or point you to books and all this. But yeah, do not. My recommendation to you is do not distill a designer's hireability based on just 2 things or 2 skills. It doesn't work that way. And I think your second point question was, I did mention about empathy and design thinking can solve a lot of problems, but will not solve everything. I did not even say that they can solve a lot of problems. Like I said, empathy is not a thing. Empathy is basically a mindset. Okay, but design thinking is a tool or a methodology, as the case may be, that gets applied in specific conditions where some specific outcomes are expected, right? So that is what I said. So I'll clarify. So the first part of your question is getting clarified, and then you also say, and if I heard you correctly, could you give me an example where these empathy and design thinking were not used but the users were happy? So go back and I don't know how long you've been a product management professional or what is it, but simple thing, 10 years back, if you basically scrub back, get into a time machine and go 10 years ago, products were there, designers were involved, empathy as a construct was being used, but they were not socialized or they did not get the stardom status that it has today. Okay. Design thinking has been in existence from the 1930s as a construct. Look out for a guy called Herbert Simon, and then you will see an entire, intergalactic universe of, cross-pollinated books and articles and all of that. If users are happy, if users are happy, and I'm assuming you're talking about the users of a product or a service, if in any form or fashion, if users are happy, you can actually safely ascribe and assume that some rigorous scientific methodology or process of thinking was applied. Also, people who actually brought this were, natural empaths. They could look, they could feel, they could feel, and they could imagine the problems or the areas of improvisation that these users were looking at, and they actually ended up doing, creating some things. Yeah, they took big bets, they took a lot of risk, but empathy is, like I said, is more mindset. And I think design thinking, like I said, is not a hammer and everything is a nail. They would have used some form of thinking, structured thinking, brainstorming, game storming, or anything. And they basically did it. I can't, in my mind, the answer to your question is reverse. Unless and otherwise people tell that we used empathy as a lever and we actually used design thinking as a methodology and we created something. And one thing you need to remember is design thinking will not give you the solution to the problem. Design thinking will drive you towards prioritizing what you need to do. It's not a means to an end. It is part of a journey of a product or a service reimagination or imagination or innovation life cycle. Nobody does design thinking for 3 days or 4 days and then says, I can beat Mr. Elon Musk and build the bigger next Tesla and sell cars at 1/10 the price. No, design thinking is a tool. It's more a facilitation, collaboration tool to bring in different perspectives in the room, hear everything out, and then look at the emerging pattern and look at the signal versus noise, so that key leadership or people whose opinion and voices matter, they can make informed decisions. That is what design thinking is all about. All right.
Yes, that concludes our Q&A session. Audience, thank you for staying in the late hour, but the session was brilliant, right? So totally worth it. So audience, please scan the QR code to get an exclusive 30-minute session with industry practitioners like Uday and clear all your doubts for transitioning into a product manager role. So please scan the QR code or check the link in the chat window. Now, this is a tough one for you, Uday, but you have to take a call. You have to let us know the champion of curiosity.
Okay.
And pick a best question so we can reward them with the free digital course.
All right. If I'm promised that I get a course, then I give the answer. Otherwise,
definitely.
Otherwise, I'm going to use my power.
Design one course for us, Uday.
Otherwise, I'm going to use my power and privilege, and I'm going to say nobody gets curiosity. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I think it's a tough. I think it's not a tough one, but in all fairness, I would probably.
You can check the questions in the answer section. So that's where we took all the questions. And there's one question from LinkedIn also that we had taken.
Yeah, I'm just going through, I'm going through the chat stream first. And then I will, because I can't see the answer section. I see a Q&A section. Is that what your...
Yeah, Q&A section, but when the open tab and there's answer tab.
Okay. I think I would actually give... I think yeah, I made a decision. I think I don't mind giving it to Vandana for asking a mundane but a very profound question, saying how to remove the red thick line. It exhibits. I don't know if she was really curious or she just threw a bouncer at me, but I really like the question.
I'm pretty sure the audience is pretty.
I really like the question. Let me rationalize why I picked it so that others should not think that this guy just picks. It really reflects curiosity for me, at least, because had someone, I am trying, at least from my individual capabilities and capacities, to actually not remove the red thick line. I'm a very methodical guy. I would probably make it thinner and thinner and thinner to the extent where one fine day it's become so thinner that it vanishes. People haven't figured that out. Yeah, if you find it, let me know. That's why I insist that those who are interested, connect with me on LinkedIn, and if I figure out certain things how the red line can be removed, I'll definitely share. Right now there is no framework or method or anything for that. So I think it is a very valid question, and it is curious. I'm considering this as a very curious question, because hey, you spoke about all of this left and right and all that, but how the hell do you even remove the red line, right? Stay curious, and maybe for all you know, you will be the one who maybe you will be the one who figures out a way to remove the thick red line.
Great. So congratulations, Vandana, on winning the free digital course. And we'll get in touch with you with the reward shortly. We have enjoyed having you with us today. It's been a complete pleasure. Please accept the certificate of appreciation as a small gesture. So if you scan the QR code on the certificate, it takes you to a dedicated Hall of Fame page that we have created for you with the recording of the session. Give it some time though for us to upload, and you can check it by tomorrow. We are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and amazing insights drawn from years of experience in the industry. I'm certain that our audience will benefit definitely from the methods you suggested and get ahead in their career path. Thank you once again for joining us there.
Yes, thank you. Have a good night. Stay safe. And yeah, good luck with your product management stuff. And yeah, all the best.
Thank you. And audience, thank you for joining in. It was great interacting with you all. Do not forget to register for the webinar on 28th of April. With that note, I end tonight's session. Happy learning and stay skilled. Have a great night.